Hey everyone, welcome back to the Stryd Power Podcast. As always, my name is Evan. Today we are going to be doing another Stryd Ambassador interview. Today I am joined by Kenneth Evers. Kenneth, how are you doing today?
Hi, Evan. Thanks for having me. I'm doing great today.
Thanks so much for coming on. We're really excited to hear all about your journey with Stryd, to hear about how you got into running and what some of your training experiences have been and the things you have targeted for the future. This is, again, part of our Stryd Ambassador series. The one sort of question that I always really like to lead off with, and I'm so interested anytime I talk to any runner, is hearing about how you got into running. Can you tell us how you kind of started your running journey and what that has looked like for you?
Yes, sure. Actually, it's a pretty funny story. Originally, just to set the score right, I haven't done any exercise basically my entire adult life. The last time I ran was like in elementary school. And I haven't really worked out since. I haven't played football or soccer or anything like that. Um, the fun story starts in 2018, where my wife gets asked by one of her girlfriends to go join her on a cozy half marathon run, just to have fun. And my wife looked at me and said, "Well, there's nothing cozy about a half marathon." And just to state that she hadn't run further than like 10Ks at that time. So a half marathon wasn't cozy at all. And me being a bit cocky just said, well, everyone can run a half marathon if they set their mind to it. So I had to, basically follow that up with signing up for the Copenhagen Half Marathon, just to, prove my point. And I did that. So 6 months from my overconfident comment, I actually went to the Copenhagen Half Marathon, and I haven't run at all. The day of the race was the first time I even opened the shoebox with the running shoes, because I haven't even tried them on. I just go to the local store, bought the cheapest pair I could find, some workout-ish clothes, and then I took the train to Copenhagen. I live just right outside Copenhagen. I took the train to Copenhagen, and then I was at the start line, and that was huge. So yeah, it was an experience, let me say it that way, because it was hard. It was difficult. I had no experience, and I could actually run just like the first 10K at an okay pace. I think I had like 70 minutes or something like that. I was very impressed. Then I hit the 12K marker, and I couldn't run any further. So I just walked a bit, ran a bit, walked a bit. It was a nightmare getting through. But what was really great was I got to the finish line. It took me 2 hours and 47 minutes, but I got to the finish line. And when I got that medal after finishing the half marathon, I could cry, basically. I was so proud of myself. It was a huge achievement. And that is the day I set my mind up to, well, this might actually be fun. So I signed up for the 2019 race. And then I thought, well, this time around, I better need to train a bit before just getting to the start line, right? So that's how I got into running, and I've been running ever since.
I've always heard that doing, the dedicated training and actually training for stuff tends to go a little bit better than signing up, a while in advance and opening the running shoe box, that day of the half marathon race day. What did you do for your training plan? What was kind of your mindset, and what resources did you seek out when you were trying to train for your next goal race and get that next medal draped around your neck at the finish line?
Yeah, what I did was actually I started in April, and the race is in September. So I ran September 18, and then the next race date was September 19. And I started in April, basically just with a basic from couch to 5K plan just to get going. It was so hard just to go out and have like 2-3 workouts a week, run 3, 5, 10K. The first time I got like a 10K suggestion on my training plan, I had like there was a service called Endomondo in Europe. They were bought by Map My Run a few years back, but they had like one of these easy training plans. And I remember the first time I got the suggestion to run 8K. I think, what? I can't run 8K right now. I know I did the same at my first half marathon, but it's really difficult when someone says you can do this and you don't think you can.
Right.
So I had to get used to going into that mode where, well, if others can do this, if the training plan is structured this way, there might be a reason for that. So I'll just give it a go. I'll see what I can do. And if I can't do it all, I'll do my best to just get as much done as possible. And actually, I kept that right up until the next race day I had. And it worked a lot better than not having trained at all before race day.
Right. Do you feel like as you made your way through the training plan, you had similar experiences like that? Because as you start maybe the couch to 5K plan, it starts you up pretty gradually. But then, like you mentioned, a suggestion from the training plan to run 8 kilometers when, you really hadn't done that in training before, and you kind of have that intimidation. Do you feel like you built up that confidence in yourself and you had multiple experiences like that over the course of following a more structured training regimen?
Yeah, what I found was that a structured training plan. Basically, I'm the type that needs an adult to tell me what to do, right? Because if no one's telling me what to do, I'll always tend to not do it, or do it less efficiency or in a shorter duration or something like that.
Sure.
So having an adult or basically just an app tell me this is what you need to do today, help me being motivated. Right. And it actually helps me to get it done, because as you said, it can be really intimidating. When you have that suggestion for a workout that you haven't done before, or you are not very confident on doing, and then getting that done, it can be like, if I woke up this morning and the training plan suggested something like crazy workout I haven't done before, I would think about that the entire day until I got home from work. I had to do it. So that was my initial thought on the training plan, on the structure plan. But having done that a few times, where you actually can say to yourself, well, I did this, I could do this, I surprised myself, that motivates you and keep getting those goals. So yeah, I need to raise the number of kilometers I run during a week or a month, or how fast I can run, or all these personal small PRs or goals that you set yourself. You once you get to that and you find out that you can actually achieve this, that motivates you for the next goal. So the next workout, the next training plan, the next whatever you have. Right. And that's the only thing basically that kept me going, was those small successes on the way there. But it's a mix. It's a mix of, well, this seems tough, I can't possibly do this, to, well, I did this, I could do this, well, great success, let me try again. Right.
Totally. When you were following a structured training plan, what was the sort of recommendation initially? Did you have pace targets, effort targets? Were you using something like heart rate? What did that kind of structure look like to you? And what did you think about, that intensity recommendation?
Yeah, originally it was a mix of both pace and heart rate. So I could have those runs where there wasn't exactly a time or a pacing, but like just a distance. So you need to run 10K today, but most of the trainings had like, you have to run 10K at this pace. And not considering very much the heart rate or the effort or the weather or something like that. It's just, you have to do this. Okay, then I went and did that. And that was the training I had, because those were basically the tools that were available at the time.
Right. What did you think about being given those recommendations? Were there any like sort of shortfalls or places where you're like, I wish I had a better personal recommendation, or I wish I knew, how hard to run up this hill, or I wish I knew, when it comes to race day in September 2019, exactly how hard, I should run on race day. Were there any thoughts about that during that structured training plan, or were you just kind of soaking in that initial training plan experience along the way?
Both. And of course it's quite a leading question, right? Because you know that with your product or with the Stryd PowerBot, I get those metrics and it takes weather into consideration. But the old training plan I had didn't do that.
Mhm,
And of course there's problems with that.
mhm,
If you have like I live in Denmark, so it's Scandinavia. It's rainy and it's windy most of the year, right? So when you have total silent wind, no wind at all, or you have a hard wind, so it's really messy weather. The training plan doesn't take in advance that could be a difference, so you still have to do the 10K at 6 minutes a kilometer or something like that,
sure.
and that effort will be a lot higher in tough weather
Mhm,
than in normal weather, and it will
mhm,
be a lot tougher if you have like a grade, so it's uphill the entire way or something like that, than if you ran downhill the entire way. But the old training plan didn't take that into consideration at all. I just had, well, you need to be either in this heart rate or you need to be with at this pace,
right.
and yeah, and that's some of the problems with training plans that doesn't really take your RSS, so it doesn't take your stress level into consideration and doesn't take the weather into consideration.
Mhm. So by now you've used Stride for at least a little bit. What was your first experience maybe hearing about Stride, your first initial thoughts, and what interested you in, using running power in your training after following a structured training plan using some pace and heart rate guides?
To be totally honest, I got a recommendation from one of my running buddies.
Mhm.
He said, "Well, you need this." And having done a bit of cycling too, of course, I know what a power meter can do for you. And he said, "Well, this is perfect, and this is just what you need. If you have like no coverage and there's no GPS signal or something like that, this will tell you exactly how long you've run, etc."
Mhm.
So um, he just convinced me to buy it.
Mhm.
And originally, I'm just like, well, I love the new metrics I got in my Garmin app. So
Mhm.
I got a whole bunch of new metrics and I wasn't quite sure what to do with it. But it could tell me a better comparison of the efforts I had
Mhm.
from some of the same routes
Mhm.
I normally would run. So I could compare saying like, this was harder today than it was yesterday, even
Right.
though it was the same distance.
Right.
Yeah, well, it was another pace or the weather was different or something like that. So it could better measure that, but I didn't, to be honest, structure it in my training plan. I just
Mhm.
had all the metrics and said, well, that's good to have. Someday I might use it, and then I have all the history I can use. But I didn't actually use that very much up until this year, to be honest. So
Sure. Um, Now you just mentioned now you're, using a little bit more structured training around power. Are you following a certain Stride training plan, and do you have a goal race that you are training for right now?
yeah, for me, it's right now I'm on the low volume marathon training plan.
Mhm.
And you can set like how many days a week you want to work, train, not work. If only how many days a week you would train and how
Mhm.
many hours you want to use on it. So being a bit of an optimist, I went from like running 21K a week the last couple of 2-3 months or
Mhm.
something like that, not very structured, um, to on this plan have 6 hours a week and only two
Mm.
rest days.
Mhm.
And I know I can do that based on early experience, but it's the structure in it. So, like I said originally, it's well, you need to do this today. Well, great.
Mhm.
Then I'll go home. I'll do that. I'll get that done. And I've been on this for 3 weeks now,
Mhm.
21 days actually. Yeah. So that's 3 weeks. And in that time, I'm actually a bit surprised, but in that time, even though the majority of the workouts is easy runs, it's low intensity, it's endurance, distance, etc. I can totally feel a difference just comparing the same route I run now as for a month ago. My heart rate is way lower. I can keep going way longer, and I can hold the same wattage. Yeah, now it's power based, so I can actually compare.
Right.
And it's just following the structure plan. I'm a bit surprised what 3 weeks could actually do on this plan for me. It's a great success.
And what's the goal marathon that you have if you're following the Stryd marathon plan?
I actually cheated a bit, if I have to be honest. I cheated
Sure.
a bit because I have Copenhagen Marathon on May 15th, and that's what the training plan is actually up for.
Sure.
So I'm training towards the May 15th marathon, 42K in Copenhagen.
Yeah.
On Sunday, I actually have, it's April 3rd, I actually have a marathon in Hanover. So this week I've changed the training. This is just the trainings, the workouts a bit up to make sure that I don't have too high of a volume up to the marathon. And we are four running buddies that are actually taking the train together and going to Hanover and having a great time on Sunday. So I don't have any expectations for a PR or something like that. I just want to have a good time.
Yeah.
But that's my long run this week. So that will be a long run. Yeah. But the real goal is Copenhagen Marathon in May.
Awesome.
And if everything works out, I hope I can PR that.
What do you like about the plan? One comment I kind of initially have is not even about the plan, but maybe the setup, where if you found a training plan online somewhere and it was a general 12-week marathon plan that had a similar type of structure, it might not be very easy to edit and incorporate running the Hanover Marathon in your training and then be able to adjust the rest of the workouts after that. But using the Stryd app, you can very obviously do that, go in and edit things as you would like. What type of things and structure do you like about the Stryd marathon plan? You mentioned you can already feel a sort of difference only 3 weeks in, going on 4 weeks into your Stryd marathon plan. What are some of the things you like about it?
I really like the mix of workouts. There's a bunch of easy runs, long runs, and on the early stages of the plan, so the first couple of weeks, it's really slow pace. Actually, you have a very low wattage. So on the Stryd app, you have like your critical power. It's personal. It's based off your weight and how you run, etc. But that takes into consideration the running stress score. So you have a stress-based score that basically determines how your body is feeling or should be feeling from the last couple of weeks workout. So that's why it will adjust on the way. So on the fly, basically adjust. So if my critical power increases, then my workouts adapt to that.
Right.
And that's really cool. And what I like the first 2 weeks was that it was very low intensity. And it was actually so low intensity that compared to like just running with pace. So I had to run way slower than I would normally do. And that was actually pretty hard to you have like a basic running mode. So if someone tells you, well, go run right now, and you're totally naked running, you have no watch or anything, you have a certain pace that you would feel comfortable in. And that pace for me was way faster than I should go. So the running stress would be way too high, and that would result in fatigue.
Right.
Doing it this way with a lower intensity, it actually enabled me to I think I ran from 21K to 50K to 60K to 72K last week. And that's not necessarily just because of the training plan, but it's because of the fatigue. So I was able to do that with basically the same stress score.
Right.
So that was a big surprise that that the training plan actually enabled me to do that, because running slow enabled me to run further and faster when I have those workouts. And I haven't really thought about that before.
Right.
But now I saw it in real life and I feel it. And that's pretty great.
Yeah. Do you have a preferred type of running session that you like to do, or favorite type of workout that you prefer to do in your training plans? It can be, different if you're running a 5K plan or if you're running a marathon plan, but do you have a preferred style of training that you like to do, or type of workout?
Strides. I love
Mm,
strides.
why?
So just start with a warm up, and it can be. I had like I think it was an hour or an hour and 10 minute session or something like that this last week, and I had like half an hour just slow pace, easy run, slow pace, and then you switch it up. So in the middle, then you can really prove yourself or something like that.
Hmm.
You can say, well, I need to run quicker now, faster now. I need to increase the wattage, so I need to increase my effort basically, and then take it slow, and then increase again, and then take it slow, and then you do that a bunch of times, and you get that. Well, that felt great, and then you have a slow run again. So I had like half an hour slow run to end the session with,
Hmm.
and I find them fun because it's a mix of, well, yeah, I can go, I get some distance. So I like to have like a certain amount of kilometers a week or something like.
Sure.
I like to have that. So this plan enables me to do that, and the strides workout really is a mix of, well, I need to push myself a bit,
Hmm.
but not too much.
Right. And it gets you feeling maybe like you're doing that type of quality without taking away from that next more specific workout that you might
Exactly,
have to do in your,
exactly.
in your training plan. Have you looked at any of the other workouts that are available in the Stryd workout library, or do you have other types of maybe more marathon specific workouts that you enjoy doing?
I haven't done any of the other suggested workouts you have in the
Mhm.
library, but I've seen a bunch of them.
Yeah.
I haven't done it myself, and it's not embarrassing, but I have a treadmill at home,
Hmm.
and having all the street wows, the workouts of the week
Hmm.
last week were very focused around treadmill running.
Yep.
Uh, so I could have done those, but I didn't. I just went with the training plan I had already.
Hmm.
But I found them fun, and if I weren't right now focused so much on just getting the current plan done, I would, or I could still mix it up, remove some of them with some of these suggested workouts instead.
Hmm.
But they seem fun. For the specific marathon training, I love my long runs. The long
Hmm.
runs in the weekend, strides are fun, but the long runs in the weekend, it's just an easy pace, 2 hours or 2.5 hours. I get to clear my head. I think it's great. Even when with the summer coming up,
Hmm.
the spring, the nature, everything looks awesome. So I found that really as a stress release,
Hmm.
basically.
Have you found yourself gravitating towards any type of particular setup when you are running outdoors and enjoying the nature? Do you have a certain type of watch you prefer to run with? Do you run with your phone? What does your running setup kind of look like when you're out there running and doing your training plan?
I have a Garmin watch. I
Mm,
have a Garmin Forerunner 745,
mhm.
basically because that was not too large and it still had all the functions.
Sure.
So I could do triathlons, etc. And I use that, and I've been using that, yeah, since it came out. What is that? A year or 2 years ago, something
Mhm.
like that, I think.
Yeah.
Previous to that, I had an Apple Watch.
Mhm.
What's really great about the Garmin watch is you actually have your own app on it.
Mhm.
So the Stride workout app, where I can see my wattage, I can see my laps, I can see everything on it. That's pretty awesome, to be honest.
Mhm. Do you find yourself looking at any sort of features? I know already you mentioned you like to look at your running stress score.
Yeah.
You like to use the training plan, obviously, that we've talked about. Is there any type of feature or features in the Stride ecosystem, whether it's the web, site, Power Center, whether it's Stryd mobile app or the Garmin workout app, like you said, do you find yourself using any sort of features regularly or checking things most often?
What I actually just love about it is all the metrics you have available to you.
Mm-hmm.
So it can depend on the type of workout, what I want to see. But with Stryd, I actually get the option to get those results, so get those answers to the questions I might have on the specific workout.
Right.
What I normally look at most is the critical power. I tend to actually not that much anymore, but I tended to look at what do you call it, your stride length.
Mm-hmm.
So how far how many meters is it 1 meter, is it 1.2 meter you take in each step, etc.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do that very much anymore,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually don't even look at my heart rate anymore, because right now I've just gotten used to, on the training plan, it's the wattage. So I'm in blue zone. That means I have too low wattage.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to increase the effort a bit. Then I go into the green zone. Perfect. I need to be here. I live here. It feels great here. And then you have the red zone where you're going too fast. So take it easy.
And that's directly on your watch while you're running?
That's directly on my watch. And that's basically the only metrics I look at.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that, and it still has the time and the time left.
Mm-hmm.
But that's basically it. Before running with this Stryd workout app, I tended to look at both my heart rate, the distance, my pace. It was, to be honest, a bit stressful.
Mm-hmm.
I found it very, very easy to just have a clear mind with less data going on the run, but with more data when coming home, if that makes sense.
Totally. You're collecting all that data and you get to use, that powerful, Stryd engine to review all that stuff afterwards and give you really, really great workout recommendations and race predictions. But during, you almost don't want to obsess over everything that's going on, and you kind of want to just be able to run and adjust that intensity based on some slight visual cues or those power ranges that you are recommended to stay in. But afterwards is time to crunch all that data and look at it. But during, you just want to, be able to easily not stress about the exact type of intensity you want to do. And you just kind of want to get that visual feedback, which is one of my favorite things about the Stryd workout app too. You mentioned already that over the first 3 weeks of your marathon plan that you felt more comfortable running over your daily routes. You said that this next week you have a marathon as your long run, which I would say you're probably in a pretty good place mentally to incorporate a marathon in your marathon training plan. What do you hope to gain overall out of this training plan, and what are you looking forward to?
2 things. I have 2 goals with the marathon training plan. It could be any training plan, basically. It's not because it's just a marathon training plan. That just happened to be my goal race this year. Mm-hmm. So of course that's the plan I went with. But there's 2 things in it for me. The first thing being, it's structured. So I know what I need to do. I know how long I need to, how much time I need to spend on it. I know which workouts are coming up. That structure in itself, again, having an adult telling me what to do, is working a lot better for me personally than if I had to decide myself, or if I would just grab some other generic training plan somewhere on the web. But the other thing, I can already feel a big difference. But the other thing I hope to gain is just that basic core endurance, not having too much fatigue, etc. It's just being able to have a good basic running form, so that I enable myself to enter into races, set new goals that I know my base is where it should be, and I'm feeling good about it.
Right.
And following this structure right now, that base is a lot better than it was just a month ago, to be honest. Right. So I'm not quite sure, but I don't think this will be my last training plan, because I need this. I need to have a schedule, and I need to have a goal. So once I reach my current goal, well, I can't make any promises, but it wouldn't surprise me if I just went in and created another training plan and then just had that and
Right.
keep doing that moving forward, because
Right.
it's been working really great for me.
Yeah, I love that mindset. And that's something I think a lot of people maybe realize when the training is coming easy, that you're not necessarily just following a training plan for this static 12-week time period and then everything's done. You're capitalizing on all that gained fitness. You're getting excited about future goals because you realize that if you follow that set structured plan, that it enables you to reach new heights and new levels that you might not have thought was possible 3 or 4 months previous. And there's no reason why you can't capitalize off of fitness and keep things rolling. And I'm super excited to check in a few weeks and hear your progress, and then do sort of recap after your goal race, and then maybe hear what training plan you want to utilize next. I mentioned at the beginning too that you are one of our Stryd ambassadors, and this series is focusing on a sort of beginning, middle, end, and doing some check-ins over the course of your training plan. Do you have a area on social media where people might be able to follow along with your journey if they are curious to tune in to your specific progress?
Absolutely. I'm primarily on Instagram, so my handle is evers.runs. So just go check it out. I
Yeah.
have a bunch of content. I normally take my camera out when I run outside, and I shoot a bunch of video, and just basic photos of my journey and the story of my journey. So go follow if interested, and I'll absolutely follow back. So no worries.
Love that. We have 2 more questions. The first one is actually a sort of question that you would pose for yourself in the next check-in we do. So if you have a chance to ask future Kenneth a question, what question would you pose yourself that you want to be able to answer in the next episode?
Yeah, well, that depends. When is the next episode? Is it after the training plan is done, or is it just when we're about to get there?
Yeah, it'll be just before your goal race, before we do that last final check-in. So something maybe in the next 1 or 2 months that you're kind of curious to hear how something went. Maybe it's about how Hanover went. Maybe it's about how you're adjusting to the middle stage of that training plan. What are you kind of curious to know about how future you is doing on the Stryd training plan?
My absolutely first question is, did you get that PR? Are you gonna do it? Do you feel enabled? Are you in the proper training? Are you in proper form? What's your mindset? So if it's just before Copenhagen, then my absolute first question will be, do you think you're gonna PR?
I love that. And then last final thing we have here, we like to answer some questions too. We love to hear you answer our questions. But while you're here talking with us, do you have any questions about Stryd, training with Stryd, any features that you're kind of curious about, or anything that you want to know more while we're talking about running with power and running with Stryd?
First of all, great product, great metrics. That's not the problem. I have one problem or one question basically, but there's one thing I simply can't get to work. How do you place the Stryd pod on the Vaporfly Next Percent to enable the wind measure to work?
We actually have I will first start off by saying that we have a fantastic support team. Our customer support team is integral to everything we do at Stryd. I started working on our customer support team. Pretty much everybody at the whole company works in some degree with customer support, and they have gone out of their way to make some great video-based content about how to put Stryd on a racing shoe like the Next Percent. So a shoe that maybe has a little bit asymmetrical lacing. So we have some great video support content that you can find on our YouTube, and then also our support.stryd.com site. There's a little slight trick with the exact laces that you place it on. but our support team has gone out of the way to show the correct like laces and angle to put it on, to enable getting correct wind power. And once you follow that sort of lacing setup, you have no worries in training or racing for enabling that sort of correct wind power too, because we know, everybody at Stryd is a runner too. We do training, we do racing, and so we're kind of at that first line of being able to think about what we can do to help people make sure that they're getting the correct setup, they're getting the correct data on race day and in training as well. Kenneth, I want to thank you so much for coming on. We're super excited to follow along with your training journey and everything, and we're excited to talk to you again. And this wraps up this episode of the Stryd Power Podcast, and we will talk to you, Kenneth, in a couple weeks from now, and we're excited to see how Hanover goes and do a general check-in on your training plan. Thanks again so much.